You click this video for a reason. Most likely because you feel stuck. Not because your life cannot change. Because the version of your life is comfortable enough to continue to betray yourself. And yes, I know this is a bold claim. Most of your life might be fine. But if there is that small little thing in your mind that says, what am I doing day after day, week after week, year after year? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. And I need to warn you, because after this video, you might be able to see clearly where you are dishonest to yourself. But once you see this, it is almost impossible to unsee. And this is why I'm gonna take you back to the story of my life that changed everything. On paper, I had it all. And I made myself believe that this is good, you know, this is adulthood. You played it really well, you have stability, you have an awesome job at the police, you have a house that you bought for quite a good deal, and you enjoy life because you go out, you party, and you get a lot of external validation. But somewhere I was still not happy. And that started way earlier. That I thought like, okay, I feel kind of useless. I work for the police, but actually I do not like the job. I like the part where I could really be there for other human beings that are in troubles. It felt good, you know? All the other bullshit was, as I say, bullshit. When I felt it, I started to do coping strategy. I start to go to the gym like every day for 3 hours, literally every day, 7 days a week. Food became an obsession. I had such a strict diet that was measured on the gram. And then that was not enough. So that external validation came on top. And all of those things on paper felt good. But deep inside, I was not happy. On one point, I realized that I numbed myself. I created all those things around my life to make it feel work, instead of looking at it like, wow, the job you're doing, you're actually not liking that so much. Because it's very hard, and I saw so much human suffering, which I hope that no one has to see in their lifetime. But all those copings kept it up. On one point I realized I don't feel so much. When I was going out with my friends, I rationally know like, okay, this was a cool evening. But I didn't feel it anymore. In the past, when I brought up something in my mind that upset me, I already felt a little bit of anger. Or something stupid I did, I already felt a little bit of blush, a little bit of shame. Or something funny brought a smile on my face. But all of that was gone. I could recall the thought, looking at it as video footage, not as an emotional story. I could not access that emotion. So when I went close to burnout and start to dream about the terrible things I saw in my work, I accepted professional help. I realized that I was able to block out my emotions. I did that already for a long time. And that allowed me to build a life with quite extreme things to feel alive. So when I started working at it, when I started feeling again, I realized, like, what am I doing? That was such an eye-opener for me that I also felt very uncomfortable with the job. I was numbing myself because a lot of things doesn't fit anymore. Everything became an obsession, and that was just a distraction. If I looked really closely at it, it started with the job, questioning the job, but everything I built around it started to shake. Finally, I looked at my life and checked if it was aligned with my heart. If my life fits my heart, my purpose. And the answer was no. On one point it became impossible to unsee. I didn't like to go to my job anymore. That was already there, but I always push it away. And this is what most people do. They just push it away. They say like, yeah, it's part of life, you know. Not everything is fun. We need a job because we need to pay our bills. And yes, that is very true in our life, but there's more attached to that. Not at all costs. At what costs are you sacrificing? No, better. At what cost are you betraying yourself to do things you don't like? Or to be with persons that are toxic to you? Persons that bring you down, or environments that are not in line with your values. The point I try to make is that our brain don't choose freedom first. It chooses what it can predict. So even if that is not in line with what you feel on your heart, you might continue doing this because it feels familiar. That goes quite extreme. Even if we know on one point every change will be better, it is still scary. It is still, our brain still create doubts like, are you sure? Because I cannot predict. And that creates a loop that maybe feels very familiar. First, something feels off. Then you start to distract yourself, and then you start to explain it away. And when you get used to it, you start to defend it. Exactly what I did. I need to protect this. And that resulted in removing my emotions entirely. And when those emotions came back with professional help, I realized like, oh no, what am I doing? And then I couldn't unsee it anymore. So there I broke the loop. And for you, this might be the same. Maybe your mind has very good reasons to do whatever you do every day. For example, I have responsibility. It is not that simple. Maybe now it's not the right time. Other people depend on me. And maybe all of this is true. But be honest to yourself. Are those things opening up your life or keep you exactly where you are for years already? What am I pretending to not know? What am I calling a responsibility while it is just fear? And this is an important one. What part of my life is only working because I'm betraying myself? And this one is a hard one. Who would I disappoint when I stop betraying myself? And as I say, every life is different. You might not feel every question applied directly to your life. Maybe you don't have answers. Maybe you already pushed those answers away or have an instant justification. And if a part of you want to push this away, don't attack that part. Because that part is probably protecting you already for a long time. But protection can be a prison when it keeps you loyal to a life that isn't yours anymore. What I witnessed myself, it is very hard to see this alone. It was actually my psychologist that opened up my feelings again, that allowed me to feel that my life doesn't fit anymore. And that's because our mind justifies it. It creates a loop that is very predictable. And that same mind, most of the time, is not able to see a way out. So sometimes you need someone from outside to help you to see what is actual responsibility and what is just familiar fear. And if this lands somewhere you cannot explain, don't rush to change your life. But also do not allow your old story to close the door again. And if you want to talk to me in person to explore possibilities together, feel free to book a call. And not because I know your life better than yourself, but because sometimes someone from the outside can look at it with a different perspective and show you the doors that you are avoiding to walk through for a very long time.